Hello and welcome to our Midjourney 5.2 Zoom tutorial. I apologize as I forgot to record the generation of my first image, but as you can see here, there's the prompt that we used, and we are just going to generate one more zoomed out image with that exact prompt. Now, you can use the Zoom 1.5 and Zoom 2 buttons that you see, but that will just procedurally generate what it thinks could be around the image. We prefer to use the zoom command in our messages so that we can have some choice over what is generated instead. Now, in this case, we also threw in AR 1:1, which is aspect ratio 1:1, which just makes the images generate in a square format. As you can see, once everything's generated, it'll give you 4 options to choose from, and you just have to select the one that you prefer with the corresponding U button. Top left is U1, top right U2, bottom left U3, and then bottom right is U4. In this case, we chose U4. Now, to continue out the zoom from here, all you have to do is just put in different prompts while keeping all of the settings the same. Now, if you do get an image generation that you don't like, such as this one, where it doesn't look quite natural or it has some sort of visual issue, you can just go back up to the previous image and regenerate it with a different prompt. And there we go. These are much better. Once again, you select the generation that you like the most, then you can continue on from there. The length of the zoom is now completely up to you. The more images you generate, the longer the zoom is going to be. Just make sure to keep the aspect ratio and zoom factor the same throughout everything. Okay, so once we've got our Midjourney generated images downloaded to our computer from Midjourney, we can open up After Effects. I am just using the Creative Cloud version, most updated 2023 at this point. Any After Effects should work for this. The processes will be similar, the buttons might just be in slightly different spots. So once it opens, you can click on New Project here. And then we will be starting a new composition, but first we're going to check on the width and height of our images that we're going to be using. So we can go back to the image folder, right click on any of your images, click on properties down here at the bottom, and then details. As you can see, you've got width and height right here. Base images are going to be 1024 pixels by 1024, but if you upscale them, they might be higher, 2048 or 4096, again, depending on what you do. So just make sure to take note of this, click OK, and then open After Effects. Start that new composition and make sure your width and height are correct. I've also switched the frame rate to 60 here. Instead of 30, it just makes the video look smoother in the end, and I changed the duration to 36 seconds because I've got 12 clips in here, and about 3 seconds per clip gives a solid zoom effect. So we can click OK here, and it will create a composition for us. Now, first thing we need to do is import the images into After Effects. The easiest way that I've found is just highlighting all of them and then dragging and dropping them right here, which will bring the images to the left side and on your timeline. Now the first thing we're going to do is select the clip lengths. So we're going to skip 1 and 2 for now. We'll start with 3 and then hold down Shift and select through the end. Move your little pointer up here to about 9 seconds, and then you can zoom in by holding down Alt and using your scroll wheel. Make sure it's set right to 9 seconds. Zoom back out, and then you can hit Control, Shift, and D on your keyboard to split the clips to that length. Then just hit the Delete key, and it'll remove the excess. Now we can go back to clip number 2, move this over to 6 seconds. Again, zoom in with Alt, make sure you're exactly at 6. Control, Shift, D, and then Delete. Move this pointer to 3 seconds. Click on this first clip. Zoom in. Whoop. Make sure it's right at 3. Control, Shift, D, and Delete. Now we've got all of our clip lengths proper. What we can do is select all of our images, so 1 through 12 in this case, and hit the S key, which will add the scale modifier to everything, the main effect that we're going to be using for zoom. So we can start with clip number 1. We're going to want the start of the clip to be at 100%. And to make a point on the timeline here for 100%, you do have to click on that stopwatch, then it'll create one right there for you. And what we're gonna do is hit O on our keyboard to get to the end of that clip. And this first one is going to end at 50%. Now we can come down to clip number 2. Make sure the pointer is at the start again, and what we will be looking at is the previous image. So we can see that image number 1 is at 100% right now. So for 2, we're just going to double that and put it at 200%. And then for image number 3, we will do 400%. Just like that. And again, make sure to hit these little stopwatches or it will not create the points on the timeline for you. Now we can click back on clip number 1, hit O to get to the end, and fill out 2 and 3 properly, again just doubling the previous one. So 100 for 2, and then 200 for 3. All these clips are going to end at 50%, so we can hit 2 again, O to get to the end, and then switch this guy down to 50%, and then 100% for 3, hit O to get to the end, and then fill it with 50%. So now we've got the basic setup for the zoom. The only different ones are going to be 1 and 2. 3, we are just going to copy all of these scale transitions with Control C on our keyboard. Then we're going to select 4 through the end of the project, move our pointer back to the start, and then hit Control V on our keyboard to paste all of the scale modifiers. So you can see everything is filled out now. And this is the basic setup to make the zoom effect. Now we're going to leave the first 3 in their spots and then stagger everything below it like a staircase. And to do that, we will select 4 through the end and then hold down Control and select 1. Now you hit O and it'll bring you to the end of clip number 1 where we can deselect it by again holding down Control. And then we hit the Start Bracket button, which will move all of the clips selected to the point on the timeline. Now what we do is again hold down Control, go up 2 clips, select this one, hit O to get to the end, and now we're going to deselect the clip we just selected as well as the first one in the queue and hit the Start Bracket, which will again move the clips over. And we just repeat this process all the way down. So select 2 clips up, hit O, deselect that clip in the top one, then the Start Bracket. And just like that, we have the clips staggered all the way out in 3-second increments, all the way to the end at 36 seconds. So, if we go back to the start here, we can see that basic zoom effect already coming out. However, as you can see, there still is this very obvious border around all of our images where they don't quite line up with the next. To fix that, what we're going to do is click on image number 1 here, and then up here at the top, we're going to double click on the rectangle tool, which is going to add a mask to that first image. If you open up the mask further, what we're going to be looking at is mask feather and mask expansion. So first, we're going to set the mask feather to 100 pixels, then the mask expansion to -100 pixels. Now what these settings are going to do is blur the lines around this image. The mask feather is the actual blurring, and then the mask expansion is making sure that it is on the inside 100 pixels of the image so it looks a little bit better. Now what we can do, click on mask over here, hit Control-C on your keyboard, and then select number 2 through the end, and hit Control-V. Now with that, you're essentially done. If we look through the whole project, we can see that all of those borders are gone, and it's a pretty accurate zoom all the way out. So once you've gotten to this point, you're going to go up here in the left-hand corner to File, down to Export, and then over to Add to Render Queue. That's going to bring up the render queue down here, and all you have to select is the Output to folder. So you click on Not Yet Specified, it'll open up a folder for you. You can navigate wherever you want. I'm just going to save it in here as Zoom Test. Click Save, and then you are ready to render. Just hit this button and it will start up. And once it is done, you can go to your output folder and then watch your zoom test. And there you go. Hopefully this helped you out in some way. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below and we will answer them. And I hope you all have a beautiful day.